What's good people, and welcome back to the channel here on Kruboy Productions. My name is BK, and this is the Silly Nerdy and Wordy Podcast, episode number 83. Eleanor the Great, a spoiler review of this new film. And in this episode, I will be talking about my thoughts about the new film, Eleanor the Great. I will also give an MCU connection between the director and two of the actors in this film. How's everybody doing? Hope you are doing very well as we are now into the fall. This year is moving along. And first, thank you to all of the new subscribers. Thank you to all of you who have contributed to the 5,500 plus views that this channel is at. Thank you very much. And for those of you that are new here, welcome. Subscribe to the channel as I do movie reviews, spoiler reviews on new films that are in the theater, that are streaming, select ones, as well as Blu-ray films. And I do spoiler reviews and nerdy notes in terms of different things and roles behind the camera and how they contribute to the film. I do some TV coverage. I also do Broadway reviews as I see live Broadway shows in person. I discuss and dissect those decisions on and off stage. As a matter of fact, my next Broadway show I will be seeing will be The Sound of Music, and that is going to be coming up for me in a few weeks, early October. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe for more here on the channel. You can follow me on the podcast platform in terms of on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all podcast platforms. Just search for the Silly Nerdy and Wordy Podcast and follow, and let me know your thoughts in the comments, what you thought about this Eleanor the Great film, and let's get into it. So this film is directed by Scarlett Johansson, and it is her directorial debut. It is her first film that she has directed, being behind the camera. She is also a producer on this film. And this film debuted first at the Cannes Film Festival earlier this year in May of 2025. And then the release here in September in theaters. And the film stars June Squibb, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Erin Kellyman, Rita Zohar. That is it in terms of the cast, and many others. Those are the casts I wanted to focus on. And at the top, I mentioned, before I get into the review, I mentioned the MCU connection. Of course, Scarlett Johansson plays the Black Widow in all of the Avengers films and different films throughout the MCU. And then, of course, we have Chiwetel Ejiofor, who plays Mordo in the two Doctor Strange films. And then Erin Kellyman, she played the role of Carly, the leader of the Flag Smashers in Falcon and Winter Soldier. Now, all three of their characters never interacted with each other. They were not in the same projects, not in the same movies or shows, but they are all in the same MCU. So cool connection there. I'm sure that had a part in casting in terms of Scarlett working with the casting director there. Now, let's get into this film. Now, I really enjoyed this film. I liked it. It's a different film. It's completely different from the films we've seen Scarlett Johansson in recently with the Jurassic World film that she was just in, as well as her MCU in her past on screen. I hope that Scarlett does more directing in the future, as I'm sure she's going to continue to do more things in front of the camera. Now, this film didn't really need anything. It was just a good story with good execution, with good writing. And the story of this film is June Squibb's character. She is best friends with a Holocaust survivor, and she meets this friend when she's in Florida, and they live together and are roommates for 11 years. And in that time, her roommate shares the story of her time in the Holocaust and how she survived, and she sees and hears the nightmares, and they have these great and long, hard discussions as she shares her story. And then we fast forward. Ultimately, unfortunately, Eleanor's friend passes away. And so then this forces her to move back to her home where she's originally from in New York to live with her daughter. And her daughter signs her up for this group, this JCC group. It's a group of Holocaust survivors, and they're sharing their story. And eventually, Eleanor starts to share her story, but it is not her story. She's sharing her friend's story. And so she's also still grieving the death of her friend. And she starts to share her story. And then Erin Kellyman's character is also in the group. And her character, she is a college sophomore and she's writing a paper. And eventually she wants to feature Eleanor in the paper, and they start to meet and they start to talk and open up. And she is also, Erin Kellyman's character is going through grief because 6 months into this film, this story, she has lost her mom, and it's still tough and hard for her. And so this movie was a hard watch in the sense of hearing the stories and of the Holocaust, as well as the grief that Erin Kellyman's character was going through, and then the grief of Eleanor losing her friend, and then the lie that ultimately Eleanor is telling, and it all catches up to her later in the film, and you feel for her even though it was wrong. And so all of those things happening, and you get a sense of how things are going. The relationship that develops with Erin Kellyman's character and June Squibb's character, I really like the relationship that they have and develop, at least up until everything comes out. And even after it gets back on track eventually. And so I really like this. In terms of this film, I don't really have anything technical to say about it. And this for me is just more so about the story, the writing, and the on-screen choices. This was an emotional story on multiple fronts as everyone is dealing with grief, whether it's Eleanor dealing with the loss of her best friend, whether it's Nina's character with Nina, which is Erin Kellyman's character, dealing with the loss of her mom, Chiwetel Ejiofor character dealing with the loss of his wife, and you hearing these stories of the Holocaust stories, hearing that. So this was just a hard, emotional story with great, great writing and great execution. And sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes you don't need a movie to have the big action pieces and special effects, which are great, which I love and enjoy. But then you have these other films that don't require any of that. You just have a good story, you have good actors, you have good writing, you have execution by those people and everyone involved. And so I love about this film. And of course, we move forward in the story. Eleanor is going to be doing this ceremony in the church, and Nina is there to support her. Her friends from the group come there, and then somehow her mom finds out she's there, and she reveals to everyone that Eleanor is not a survivor, and all the information comes out. You still feel for her, even though it's wrong. And so then that happens, and she's alone for a bit, and ultimately Nina and Eleanor get back together, but it's a tough time in that time in between. So I really enjoyed this film. I liked it for what it was. I thought what the decisions with Scarlett Johansson as a director, what she made, I enjoyed what she did and the execution of it, and just hitting a lot of different emotional beats. Because at the end of the day, I believe this film is just people sitting around talking, and it's just good dialogue. You have a lot of projects that are like that, a lot of good shows that are like that, like The Diplomat, like House of Cards, those type of shows. It's just great, great dialogue. And I believe that is what this film was for me, in my opinion. So I thoroughly enjoyed what this film was. The ending, I thought the ending ended right in terms of having the conversation with Eleanor and her friend as they were in bed talking until the early morning, and then she turns the light off, and then the credits come on. I thought that was a good way to end the film. There was also a little bit of comedy in this film, also, so definitely was good there. There was a little bit of suspense in there as well, especially as the information came out that she was not the Holocaust survivor Eleanor was. And so that was tough. And just having the different points and the different views of grief from the different angles and everyone dealing with it in their own way, I really enjoyed how they handled that. So hats off to the writers, to the director, and the actors, and everyone involved in this. So hard watch, but a good watch with sadness and grief. That's going to be my review for this film. Really enjoyed it. I highly recommend that you give it a watch. It is something different in a good way. And I think everyone will get something out of it. So check it out if you can. And that's all I have to say for this film. I hope you enjoyed my review. Hope you got something out of it. If you like what I'm doing, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, let me know your thoughts in the comments. What did you think about the film? Did anything in terms of the grief or the different angles, did anything resonate with you? Did you connect with any of it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and follow this podcast anywhere on the different podcast platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and all the different podcast platforms, even Podbean. And again, subscribe here to the channel for more as I have more content coming. And I want to send all of you good vibes for the rest of your day. Also, until next time, we will talk soon.